Hello, everyone. My name's Dr. Alex Benson, and welcome to the International Citizen Student Show, Season 2. It's my pleasure to be back on the ICS show, and welcome to all of our viewers and followers from before and partners from all around the world. Welcome. And it's just my job to welcome you back to season 2, and also just do a little recap of what the ICS show is all about. Okay, so we started the ICS show at the University of Chester in the UK to start bringing discussions to the table around international citizens, international students, and all the things that all the pertinent issues about studying in the UK, studying in different parts of the world. In season 1, we covered all kinds of interesting topics, from building bridges into different countries. We looked at a kind of South Asian special with some special guests from our India and Pakistan teams. We looked at topics like settling into the UK, and we invited some interesting guests in. We had our co-hosts Trevor, our MBA director, and also Ella Hoare, and Asher as well. So lots of people from different countries. And we talked about visas and post-study work and visa compliance issues. We had our head of our compliance team, Lauren, joined us as well. And we talked about the future of education, and we had Nova Lorraine in as a speaker, who's amazing speaker. And then episode 6, the final one of season 1, we actually did live as part of our Festival of Ideas, and we had a cultural dress, cultural food and music, and we did a live event at University of Chester's Business School, and then streamed the show live as well. So it's my great pleasure, as always, to welcome the new co-host. We've got a new look for season 2, and we've got 3 brand new co-hosts. And we're looking forward to introducing everybody. I can see Trevor's just joined us there with a comment. Good morning, Trevor, and good morning to everybody. If you've got a comment or a question, please do feel free to put that into the chat as well. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our 3 new co-hosts. First of all, Srihari. Hi, Srihari.
Hi, Alex. Good morning.
And we've got Kenneth. Good morning. You're on mute, Kenneth. Kenneth, I see we're on the matching t-shirts today. So, Srihari, you didn't get the memo.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't.
And then we've got Ravina as well. I think Ravina, just add Ravina as well. So hi, guys. Thank you so much for taking up the mantle of co-hosting the International Citizen Student Show. We're super proud of the show, and even more proud of you guys for picking up the mantle of season 2. And we've got an action-packed season of episodes in store. Oh, brilliant. We've got Bhumi has joined us as well. So our partner, Sanjeevani University, Ravina knows these guys well because they're from your region, aren't they, Ravina? So Bhumi's joined us today and saying hello from India as well. So that's lovely. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over this season to you guys in very capable hands. So over to you, Srihari.
Thanks, Alex. Honestly, those season 1 highlights bring back so many memories, especially the Festival of Ideas, and that is a tough act to follow, but we're ready for the challenge. Hello, everyone, and a huge welcome to season 2 of the ICS show. I'm Srihari, and I'm incredibly excited to be steering the ship this year. And I will not be doing it myself, as like Alex said, I have the capable hands of Ravina and Kenneth assisting with me. So as an international student myself, I know exactly what it feels like to be sitting here where most of you are, who looking at this, looking at what you are going to do next, what your next steps are. And thankfully, I've got plenty of guidance and assistance throughout my journey. And that is what we are trying to provide here today as well, with some of our experience, some of the things that really helped us. So without further ado, This season, I'm going to be joined by various experts and guests, but my two partners throughout the entire season are going to be Ravina and Kenneth. And before I let them introduce themselves, let me just give you a quick heads up about me. I'm Srihari, and I recently completed my MBA at the University of Chester, and almost as recently as last week, in fact. And that was my second master's. I've previously done my master's at the University of Sunderland and been working in the intervening period between that. And my journey to the UK for the second time was a little interesting because I've always wanted to pursue uh, my goals and dreams in academia, and I wanted to pursue my PhD. And one of the issues I've faced when applying for a lot of my research ideas and my proposals was my lack of research experience. So I wanted to do a master's that gave me the opportunity to pursue my goals, to potentially get into research in the future, while also giving me a background if I wanted to go back into the corporate world, which where most of my experience is from. So the MBA was the best of both worlds for me, and yeah, I was very excited to get on board, and now very anxious because it's all over, and I'm officially. While technically still a student till the results are over, but not really a student because I don't really have any classes. And without further ado, let me welcome the team again. First, let's have Ravina.
Oh, thank you so much, Srihari. So, hi guys, this is Ravina Rajpurohit. I came to UK in April 2024, so it's nearly gonna be 2 years. Doesn't seem like. So, I'm a recent graduate as well. I've done with my graduation in November 2025, all with flying colors and a very brilliant graduation speech, which I'm really proud about. I always say this. And yeah, I did my pharmacy from college in Pune, which is Srihari Institute. And yeah, I was very much interested into management, and I really was fascinated by the studies at the university. And it was a good mixture of both health and management. And I love the modules. I personally spoke to the tutors before coming as well. I had like literally great exposure of what you can say is like the previous students as well. So I had a conversation with them, like how the studies are here. So I came with a solid research, a solid foundation, and then I had really a fulfilling and a very wonderful experience here at the university, and I'm loving it. Yeah, so that's more about me. But in my fair, in my free time, I love doing volunteering jobs, social, like a lot of things, and meeting people and talking to people, getting to know people is most of the things which I love. So yeah, that's little or less more about me. Thank you.
Thanks, Ravina. And yeah, I think we'll have plenty of time over the next hour to explore how and how we got here and what our next steps are. Without further ado, let's welcome Kenneth.
Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to be here on this show this morning. I'm a 2 year MBA student in the University of Chester. I'm currently working on my professional project, exploring continuous professional development and CPD. To be honest, I understand what it is to be an international student from a country like Nigeria, studying in the UK because I've actually lived it. And I feel so happy to actually be on this show, to actually provide guidance to what it was like choosing a university in the UK, what led to actually taking that decision to study abroad. And I promise you, if you stay to the end of this show, you're going to be happy you attended it and you actually would be glad. So, in my free time, I actually am a big fan of sustainability. I want to see a world that is more fairer. I want to see a world where carbon footprint is reducing, where individuals take responsibility to actually save our planet and motivate the next generation to actually save this planet. So I'm happy to be here and thank you for other co-hosts for having me. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Kenneth. I know we're going to be talking about a lot of things today, but first of all, I think the most important question all of us would like to answer is why UK for our postgraduate journey. So let me start with Kenneth. Why? What was the decision or rationale behind picking the UK as your preferred destination for your post graduation?
Thank you, Srihari. To all our viewers, in my previous job role, I was working as a business development consultant in an agro business. I was actually helping startups scale up their businesses, increase productivity and efficiency in their business. At a point, I just felt a push in me that I needed something different. What different, you may ask, because I could actually choose to pursue a postgraduate degree in my country, but I wanted an environment that would not only expose me to knowledge, but that would allow me contribute to knowledge. When we think of the West, when we think of the UK, think of the US as international students from developing countries, it is easy to imagine that they've got everything sorted. We tend to imagine they are developed, they've got all the answers. I wanted to know what the perspective to strategic thinking, like how do they approach problem solving? How do these developed countries approach innovation? What is the culture behind this innovative change and problem solving? Because as a business development consultant, I had a lot of startups that knew they were facing a lot of business challenges, but how do they get solutions to these challenges? And I was stuck in the middle as if I had a predefined pattern. It has to always be this way every time. So I needed a system that would actually expose me to thinking outside the box. So that's why and how I started thinking about the UK and thinking about the strong academic standard in the UK from friends that have studied in the UK previously. I just couldn't make another choice but come to the UK. Thinking about the distance from the UK to Nigeria, I just couldn't think about something else, like jumping on the train and 6 hours, I'm already back home. Was all interesting for me. Yeah, that's it.
Right, that's lovely. I think the first person that I asked questions about about my postgraduate journey was me, because as a former UK postgraduate student myself, I was like, okay, did you really like it? And I was like, yes, I did. So for me, I think that you bring up a brilliant point about the geographic location and the ease of access to respective home countries. I know both Ravina and I can attest to the fact that. Even though it looks and seems close, India is still a long way away, but it is far closer than most other countries. So I think, yeah, the geographic aspect is definitely one thing. But on top of that, the academic standards and the contributions that universities are able to make, and you can make within the university structure as well. That's a very important framework, Kenneth, and thanks for bringing that out. Ravin, I know I did speak a little bit for you, but would you care to explain why the UK, basically?
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Srihari. Well, it's a brilliant question, and it's the most important question as well, because a lot of people will think of different countries as well. There's not only UK, but the other countries as well. But while I was making this decision, I had like literally few points to be considered. And one of the biggest rationale I would say was the global exposure. Now, I know most of the people will say that's very generic. A lot of people say global exposure, but what do you mean? How do you define it? So my definition would be like building the social capital, which Alex obviously knows, and entire LinkedIn family of mine knows how I have built over the years the social capital, and that's very important. So, well, yeah, and the thing is, like, I wanted to meet different people, build innovations, and more obviously, I was so much drawn for entrepreneurship, and I was like, well, business is something which attracts me the most, and I wanted to meet like like-minded, or obviously the people who can challenge my thinking as well, because you know certain things, and you definitely have people who would bring their own the cultural aspect, their own knowledge, and that will boost your thinking as well. So I used to look at the world like this, but then I've got friends from all over the world who will be like, okay, Ravina, this is the thing, but we have got another aspect as well. So I love debating with people, talking to people. So that's what something I was craving for. I wouldn't say India is not a country where you can get education. No wonder every country is best in providing the best out of best education. But when it comes to global exposure and meeting new people, I would say UK was one of the right choice which I made, and I'm happy and satisfied about it. So thank you so much.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ravina, that's brilliant to hear that and hear about your journey. And you mentioned social capital. We talk a lot about that at Chester, don't we? The International Citizen Student Show came from Chester's citizen student strategy, and that is all about social capital, building networks and relationships and having a holistic experience and lifelong learning. And I think you three guys really encapsulate that. We always say, to students at induction, seize all these opportunities coming from a university and lean in, and you guys have really done that. So and today's a great example of that. Just before I step out and hand over the show to you guys, I just wanted to quickly say good morning to Eddie Semi, who's joined us as well, and also to my colleague Beth from our Connect team supporting students. Beth saying hello and good morning. So with that, I feel very confident now. I'm leaving the show in fantastic hands. So I'm going to say farewell to you all, and good luck with the rest of the season. I might make another appearance at some point, Srihari. You might not be able to get rid of me that easily.
I don't think we want to, Alex. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity, first of all, and for kickstarting something like this. I think the importance of having an authentic voice, of hearing from people that make an impact, hearing from people who talk about their own personal experience, I think that's incredibly important. And having an avenue for people to do that, and having an opportunity and a platform for students to listen to voices that probably they wouldn't otherwise. If you go to a university fair, if you go to all of these conferences where a lot of universities are, you are always going to talk to representatives of the university who will obviously tell you everything that the university has, but they're not going to be able to tell you personal stories about how they made it there, what were the challenges, what were the difficulties, what were the good things. I mean, I'm sure there are far more good things than issues, but I think the fact that being able to hear stories, being able to relate to people and look at people and wonder, actually, that could be me, is something that's incredibly important. And thank you for giving us the platform. And yeah, we definitely don't want to get rid of you, and hopefully we hope to see you back later in the season.
Thank you so much, guys. Okay, I'll see you soon.
Thank you,
Thank you, Alex.
Alex.
Right. So I think we've had established, like, in terms of geographic location and the exposure, the global exposure that the UK universities bring. The one other point that, for me especially, that I wanted to touch on why the UK, aside from the fact that I have already pursued a master's here and I sort of know what it looks like. For me, the other thing was contribution to knowledge. And I think for me, as somebody who's always wanted to enter into academia and looked at that as a long-term goal of mine, even while I was working on the corporate side, I think it was important for me to look at a location in a country where it is possible for me to have the best of both worlds. If I wanted to go into a higher education institution, I have that opportunity. I have the option of contributing to existing knowledge while also having the corporate framework if I decided, actually, that is not something that I want to do. And the most important thing about that was the support structures that are there. I think universities in the UK, and I can definitely speak for Chester in this regard, have this opportunity to give you a platform, a blank canvas, but also all of the color paints that you want, all of the paint brushes that you might want to draw whatever you want to do. You have people who can guide you, who can show you the way, but you also have the opportunity to blaze your own trail and try to figure out what you want to do. And the support structure that exists both within research and both within every postgraduate program was something that certainly was very important for me. So that's probably the main reason why I picked UK. Now that we've got the most important question out of the way, I think it's important for us to look at what are the key decision factors that we all of us looked at when we were choosing postgraduate studies. Was it just like look at the list of universities, look at rankings, look at course content, look at what cities I would like to live in, look at what is the entire cost of the whole thing? I think there are lots of different things that goes into the picture. And I mean, the priorities and where they lay in the pecking order is different for each one of us. I think it's important for us to just have a conversation about that I think I'll open the floor to all of you to just talk about what probably is your. I don't want to say number one priority. What was a key motivating factor for you when you chose, or how you went about choosing the right UK university for you?
If I'll go first,
Yes,
for
absolutely.
me, choosing a university to study in the UK was actually born out of multiple factors. I had to think through a lot of factors before taking a decision on what university in particular I would want to pursue a postgraduate studies, particularly coming from a country with little or no government support in terms of student loan to pursue a degree abroad. So there are a lot of factors I considered before choosing the University of Chester. But one of the reasons that stood out was the student support, the support for international students. To be honest, if you are watching me this morning, for students that are already here studying and for prospective students, Chester University, I know other universities offer similar support, but to be honest, the University of Chester just didn't make me feel like one in the crowd. I felt as if I was an active participant in the whole process. I had support from a personal academic tutor. I was coming to the UK. I never imagined I could have somebody that would refer to herself as my super gogo. You can imagine, like, coming into the UK, I met a support system that actually gave me an opportunity to ask any questions, to actually explore any difficulty I'm currently having in my study, in my student life. Is it in terms of finance? Is it in terms of whatever it is as a challenge that could actually hinder my studies in the UK? I had a figure that was like, you know what it is like going on Google to ask all your questions, like having that kind of a figure personified, like a super Google that I can actually come back to and say, oh, this is a challenge I'm having. What university resource can actually help me? What support can I get? And I tell you, she was always there to support me. This was something I find very interesting because the decision to come here was influenced by some friends that had already studied in the UK and they studied in the University of Chester. So hearing firsthand from them, as you are also hearing firsthand from us now, actually made me think, okay, do I want to come there? And coming was a very fantastic decision I made. And another thing I want to talk about quickly was tuition fees. This show is meant to serve as an eye opener. So I'll tell you firsthand what influenced my decision. Before making a choice for the University of Chester, I actually made my search for other UK universities, and I found a significant difference in the tuition fee that the University of Chester had and the scholarship they offer international students. So if you are coming in as a student that had 2-1 in your first degree, man, there's a level of scholarship you get. Like there's just scholarship for everybody. So this was something that caught my interest to study in the University of Chester. And the way you are open to opportunities is also something very interesting. Working on my professional project, when we started the show, I said I was a 2-year MBA program. Working on my professional project has offered me so many opportunities to actually develop transferable skills, building skills that is valuable in the world of work. And recently, as a result of showing up, to be honest, I was just doing all I was doing to develop my skills, but I never knew people were actually looking, like people were seeing the effort and seeing how much I was putting into building these skills. Recently, I got a part-time role with the university as a carbon literacy facilitator. This is something that is so much for me that I also dear, having that opportunity to actually add value. So these are things I treasure a lot about coming to the University of Chester. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Kenneth. I think the two very important points that you raised there in terms of student support and fees. I think we can just focus on the student support part initially. I think that is probably one of the most underrated and least talked about subjects when it comes to the support for an international student who is coming over to the country, probably from several thousand kilometers or miles, whichever metric system that you use. From so far away and to a completely different country, to an alien culture, to people that they do not know, to people who are very different from what they're used to in their home country, and having that support system, as you mentioned, having somebody who you can talk to on a regular basis, ask questions to, and not be worried about sounding or looking silly or foolish or whatever, because I mean everybody
No,
has questions and doubts, and we all would like somebody to respond to our questions and doubts without infantilizing us, in for want of a better word, to always be there for us and to have our back and support us. I think that is definitely something that uh, is something that should be talked about more, and that is something that I don't know if a lot of people are considering, especially when you look at coming abroad, studying for a year or longer if you're doing your PhD, and just trying to figure out, wait, I'm coming to a brand new country and I don't know anybody here. How is my support system going to look like? Or what is it going to look like? Do I have people? Do I have institutional support? I mean, sure, everybody can make friends, but you cannot make friends in the matter of minutes. It'll still take time. And I think that's incredibly important. Ravina, what do you think?
Well, honestly, I agree on both. Like whatever you both you said is like absolutely correct, and I won't repeat the points that you mentioned. But from my perspective, it was more about, I a lot of people think about the ranking. So if it's a rank one university gonna be the greatest one, no, absolutely, that is just a myth. Absolutely not. Okay, so I'm not saying that the rank one or whatever the rank 10 universities are, they're not good. They are good, but don't fall for that trap saying that you should go into the best out of best university. Ranking is one of the parameters, but other parameters like we mentioned about the student support or the fees, which city you want to be in, that, so that's going to be also one of the things which you need to consider. So from this platform, I just want to say rank one is the best university you think, but there are other universities to explore as well, and that's what I did. I had so many options as well, by God's grace. And yeah, I had like really good grades. So that was not a thing that I won't get admission into different universities. But I really wanted to choose not for the thing that, okay, the fees was really less. That was good. I did get a lot of scholarships as well because of my marks. But then obviously I look for the parameters like what are my subjects gonna be, what the modules are like, are the professors really helpful, and then you can literally stalk their LinkedIn profile, you can understand what they are like. Okay, so in the world of like social media, nothing has been hidden. You can go if you want to see somebody what their work is like, you can literally explore. So guys, just be, think like not twice, think 100 times before, because like, this is going to be a really great decision. This is going to influence your entire career path maybe. So yeah, that's what I think. That's the kind of parameter you should also look for.
I think, Ravina, the term is market research. I
Oh
think
yeah.
we will refrain from anything else, but I think it's very important. And just look at people and what they're talking about, right? The university is obviously going to talk about the courses and what they're doing and everything, sure. But you also need to know who is teaching you. What are they talking about? Are they
yeah,
active on social media? Are they talking about their courses? Are they talking about things that you think align with your core principles? And as you rightly mentioned, rankings at the end of the day is just a number, and the rankings are meticulously calculated, and they do deserve some level of merit, and you should definitely look at them. But as you said, it is by far the be all and end all, and for every single course and for every single student it'll be very different. For
Yes.
somebody like me who has already done a master's, The rankings are not as important because I know what a university system within the UK looks like. But what I want more is access to university in a preferred location for me, who has the modules that I'm looking for, who has the support that I'm looking for, who has the opportunity for me to look at what are the next steps in my career, how is this definitely going to help me. And I think that's incredibly important. That's not to say, as I mentioned, rankings aren't important, but if you are only going by rankings, then you're definitely doing something wrong, because the rankings should give you a small picture in what you're trying to say and not ultimately guide everything that you're going to do. And I just want to pick on the fact that both of you mentioned about fees and something scholarship. I think that's a very important point as well, and it should definitely be looked at. And but the a word of caution that I would give for all prospective students is not just look at either the universities with the least amount of fees or the university with the most amount of fees and be like, actually, I'm not going to pick this. I'm probably going to go with the one that is the least. But again, that is also a small part, and it should not define your ultimate decision making. And yes, most of us who are coming into the UK are coming from countries whose currencies are not at the same level of the pound. That is fairly obvious. But outside of that, you also have to consider all of these different factors. And I think one of the things that you mentioned about Ravina, about the course content and the things, the research that you did, can you just talk a little bit more about your particular course and how you went about doing the research and trying to figure out if this is the right university for you?
Yeah, perfect. I will. Well, honestly, it took me around 65 days to do this all, and that would sound, like too much, but I wanted to be pretty sure because this was my literal master's after doing bachelor's. A lot of people do have experience like yourself. You had experience in the market, but I was coming with like a blank slate, and I was like, oh my God, this can't be something which I'm not sure about. So, firstly, I was really interested into health, which is why I did my pharma from India. But then I was like, I'm literally drawn towards management. I love, being a leader, being there in position, guiding people, mentoring people. So it's like, okay, I want to learn about leadership. And then I was also thinking about how can I club them together, okay? Because I don't want to detach from one stream and, convert towards the other one. So I was like, no, I'm not looking for a career shift or anything. I just want the mix of both worlds. So I was like, okay. Then I came to know this course is there in this university. It was there in two other universities, I suppose, Coventry and the other one. I'm sorry, I can't remember the other name. But yeah, so I was like, okay, if these modules are something which I really want to study, I went into details. I actually saw what they're going to teach as well. I'm like, okay, this looks fascinating to me and interesting. And that's where, you love to study. So, see, for example, if a student is coming just by seeing the modules, oh my God, I talk about fancy words and you're like, those are the really good courses which can select about. But what if you're not interested in it? You won't do the assignment by yourself. You won't understand it because you don't love it. Okay. So you need to actually love studying, and then only you can actually get yourself into the course. You need to be studies here are intensified. In a 1 year course which I had, I really had to dig deep into learning everything from scratch, obviously because of the two worlds, completely different, what do you say, education system as well. So love what you're doing, and then eventually everything will be done for you. So that's what kind of way I selected, and a kind of strategy, I would say.
Yeah, thanks, Ravina. What about you, Ken?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go on.
Okay. To quickly add to that, to prospective international students coming in, another thing that I would quickly want to chip in when making the search about the university in the UK to study, among the things that stood out, coming into the UK comes with a lot of worries. You're coming into a new place to study. Maybe for some of us, we've not got family members that could be a guide. We've not got very close, intimate friends that may actually guide us through the system. You've got to worry about compliance, a lot of things to actually get you a bit nervous. But University of Chester has a culture for community. Coming into the system, you'll find other like-minded students that are from your region, that share similar level of experience with you. If you already had an exposure to the working world, you would always find a community that would be supportive, not just a community of tutors to students, but student-led communities. And another thing for me, back in my country, I had some exposure to the SDGs, like this UN Sustainable Development Goals. In my National Youth Service, I was the president of a community development group, CDS group, way back in my days as a National Youth Service member. So while choosing a university to study abroad, I was also interested in what commitment do these universities have to sustainability? What effort, what commitment are they making towards sustainability in terms of carbon reduction, like carbon emissions reduction? Like what effort were they making towards sustainability and achieving the wider sustainability goals, the SDGs? So the University of Chester stood out in that area, like having to read about their strategies on the website, because everyone coming abroad to study would want to have some level of information about where you're coming to study. So like for me, sustainability was a big thing, because firsthand I've seen the implications of climate change, judging from the perspective of a developing country. So seeing the commitment Chester has to this SDGs actually for me was a goal. It was
And
a basis to
and
take a decision.
Oh no,
Go
I think
on.
that's absolutely fair, Kenneth, and that's a brilliant point you bring about in terms of SDGs and that being a priority for you. And that same priority might not be reflected in every student, but the fact that each individual student has a particular preference. Okay, this is very important to me.
Yeah.
I want my university to reflect this. I think that's the most important thing, right?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
and the other thing I wanted to bring about in terms of, man, I know we spoke about the course content, the university's principles and values, the costs, and everything. I think the other important part, I think, which Trevor mentioned in the comments as well, in terms of the student support, and I think that's something that, as I mentioned, not as much conversation is there around it. But I'd just like to hear from the both of you in terms of from your time at Chester, what did you feel was very important to you, something that made a mark on you in terms of the support that you got? I know, Kenneth, you already spoke about having somebody in your corner as your pad who you can go to for conversations. But was there any other experiences or examples that you could talk about for the established institutional student support that exists outside of the communities that you will obviously make yourself as well?
Okay. Do I go first or Ravina?
Ladies first, always, Ravina.
Okay, ladies first. Ravina, please take the mic.
No, it's all right. Okay, perfect. So coming to your question, Srihari, it was how many support systems should I talk about? They're endless. If I start talking, that day would be like literally short. But okay, I'll name a few. For example, say academic skill support. When we shift from a very complete different education system, we won't say it's hard, but it's different. And how should I cope up with it? Because it's like, how do I do it? Because I never did an assignment in my home country through that kind of, the strategy or whatever it was. And then it has got academic skill support. Obviously, everybody in this system knows who is Ravina, just because I used to always keep no, keep booking the meetings because I wanted to know what the process is like. And then I knew how we need to actually do the assignments. And then I was very confident about doing it. Finally, I did my dissertation with distinction, and that's obviously the result of me having so many meetings with them. And the second support, I would say, it has got so many societies, to be honest. The University of Chester, I was like literally a part of every society. That's not praising me, but that's because the university has so many
Yeah,
societies.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't be a part of every society if there are no societies.
Exactly my point. And I was also part of student union in a way. I ran the election. Deep down, if you asked a 20, maybe a 18-year-old Ravina from India, you're like, oh, well, I can't be, into elections and stuff like that. But that, just coming to this university, I felt so belonged, so supported, so confident that I was like, okay, I ran an election with 11 other candidates who were from different cultures. Honestly, going in a class of 200 students where people are sitting from different backgrounds, you can't even mimic or act like them. And then you shouting at 10 o'clock, like, guys, vote for me. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But then I did it. Obviously, this is the result, or this is the actual impact of university support. And that's how you grow stronger. You know what you are. And then I never, doubted myself. I definitely came second, but obviously 11 strong candidates, and then you run the election, and I learned a lot. Obviously, I met a lot of people, and I was like, that was kind of support which I think has shaped my entire personality, not only my career. Well, I can get a good job, I can get good money, everything, but end of the day, this rich experience is going to stay with me forever, which I can talk endlessly about. So yeah, that's kind of
No,
support.
no, absolutely. I mean, there is this great thing about it being the journey and not the destination. Absolutely. And the things that you learn. And the other point you mentioned about academic skills, I think I just want to touch on that because it is not academic skills and writing academically is not about your level of English, your exposure to your ability to write. I mean, as somebody who's been in content and communications for about a decade now, I know how to write, and that was fine. But I still made use of every opportunity I could get to book meetings with the Ask team as well. And I know that there's somebody from the Ask team who will be like, wait, this guy again? Because I was based in Warrington at the time, and there was an Ask team member who's based out of there. So I used to bug that person all the time. But I think it's very important for me because it's not that I didn't know how to write. I obviously did. But writing in a descriptive way, writing in a corporate way is very different from writing academically. And the fact is, I needed to know, okay, this is how you do it. This is the structure. This is how you write properly and in a way that is more academic or research oriented. And the ability of the university to provide that, and not only booking one-on-one meetings, but also the fact that the academic skills team have a podcast as well. And I'm somebody who loves listening to podcasts. And the fact that I can just listen to them talking about various different aspects of research, about writing, about literature reviews and all of that, I think that's very important because every one of us has our own styles and own ways to go about it. But the university providing us with an opportunity to explore all of these different things, I think that's incredibly important as well. And yeah, is there anything you'd like to add, Kenneth?
Yeah, for me, considering where I come from, I don't know about what it is for you, Ravina, in your home country, but coming from Africa, coming from Nigeria, we had a system. It's good on its own, but it rewards memorization of knowledge and the ability to reproduce information. Like the lecturer comes to class, he teaches, you're expected to memorize. Sometimes they even give you area of concentration. You read, you memorize them, you come to exam hall, you bring them out the way it was taught, and that's what you are graded for. Coming to this country,
No,
look,
I think, just sorry to interrupt you there, Kenneth. I think the reason Ravina and I are not saying anything and just smiling year to year is because it's very similar in India. And I know
yes,
from experience what that is like.
like
You're both like, yes, nodding at every point.
it is what
Go
it
on.
is. So coming to this country with a totally different system, like all of the courses I did, all of the module I did during my MBA was future focus. What this means was that approaching this assessment, I approached it either from a perspective of my previous job role, assuming a position in a company and solving, in some cases, a dilemma, solving it, thinking critically, bringing literature, analyzing it, bringing in your voice. So to achieve all of this, I needed support. And one of the support that proved very outstanding was one of the classes I had on a weekly basis. It was meant to train me like on academic writing. This was totally different from the module I had to take as part of my MBA program. But academic writing skill was another class that was held weekly to actually help me know how to write, how to summarize, how to paraphrase. To you, you may assume these things are, I'm already used to summarizing, I'm already used to paraphrasing. But doing this in a professional way requires some level of training and how to actually do them. So that class was very, very supportive for me because whenever I come to those classes, I'm presented with a guideline on how to write, how to think critically, how to cite references. This made a real difference for me because, to be honest, I didn't have to book a meeting to attend these classes. It was already part of my weekly activity as a student. So what I do, I just prepare questions every week. I just prepare questions that when I get to that section on Friday, oh my God, I'm going to ask all of these questions. And coming to those sections, the lecturer is willing, and silence in the UK system is not a bad thing. Like where I come from, if a lecturer asks a question and nobody is responding, is a signal that nobody knows it in the class, and the lecturer jumps in and provides the answer. But in this system, silence is actually an opportunity to think, an opportunity to explore, to have conversations with your peers, come up with an argument, question what you are learning. So in these sections for academic writing, I come and I ask these questions. In some cases, the lecturer would initially allow me think. You can imagine what I mean. Like she wouldn't just jump into it at first. She's gonna help. She's gonna support me, but the process is actually meant to make you better. You cannot come into this university to study, and after 1 year, you've not built competences that would actually make you better. The system is so designed to help you build competencies that if you can reflect on them, you know you are changing. You just know there's a lot about you that is undergoing some change process. So that class every week was very supportive for me because I know there was a place I would come and just pour out my heart in terms of the challenges I'm facing, approaching my assessment, approaching academic writing, approaching referencing, approaching how to actually have a voice in like approaching my assessment. So I think this was something that made a very big difference in my university experience. And I know so well that for students that are coming into the UK to study, that would want to make a choice for the University of Chester, make good use of these opportunities. These supports are available to you. To be honest, the university has this support system. You would go to the library. There was an instant I went to the library. I had, as part of my project, my professional project, I got an invitation to do a book chapter review, like to actually support in a book chapter review. I've never done this before, but these are some very fantastic opportunities the UK would offer you as long as you are putting effort to actually learn, to grow your skills, to improve on your skills. The University of Chester, and I believe other universities in the UK, would give you an enabling environment to actually strive. I got an invitation from a contact from another university to actually participate in a book chapter review. I've never done this before. I know there was a guideline to do it on the editing website, like on the body responsible for the editing, like the editorial body. but I've not done this before. So I just went to the library in all my curiosity and was like, I just need resource. How do you do this? And the staff in the library were very supportive. They actually directed me to database that has publications around the area of what I'm to review in that book chapter review. They actually helped me search like a guideline to doing a proper book chapter review. Like it was just supportive. Like I never knew I could even get that kind of a support from the library. But just going there and asking questions, this is my challenge. I was able to get support in finding resources in terms of database where I could find similar publications that could support my criticizing or supporting that book chapter review, and finding a guide to actually reviewing a book chapter. So I think the support is massive. It depends
Yeah.
on how well you can explore them and how
Absolutely.
engaging you are. I think that's the word,
Yeah,
engage.
absolutely. Kenneth, I think the one thing that kept running in the back of my mind when you were saying all of that is one of my favorite quotes from the Harry Potter, where Dumbledore says, "Help will always be given at Hogwarts to those who ask for it." And I think
That's
that's
it.
very, very true at the university as well, because there are lots of opportunities, lots of different things that you can do, and lots of avenues for you to explore and do things that you probably might not have even thought of beforehand. And I think that's very important. I think a couple of other things I really wanted to stress upon is the fact that I know we've had like a very deep, insightful conversation about academic writing, and I really don't want that to, worry or concern any prospective students. But oh, this is something I don't know. But I think the point of it is this is very distinct and different, and there's so much support available. And academic writing is not just about actually academic writing. The transferable skills you learn from that is something that's going to help you for the rest of your life. The ability to look at uh, how you back your argument, the evidence based argument that you're going to make. It's not just me saying that this is good. Like, this is me providing you evidence of why this is good, of other people saying this is good, and that is very important to you, whether you're writing academically or whether you're in a job 5-10 years down the line or the year after, when your manager asks you, so how do you go about doing this, what is your source, why did you do this, how did you do this? And that's incredibly important as well. And I think that's something that we definitely need to stress upon. One other question I had for both of you, I'll start with Ravina, is there anything that you wish that you'd known before choosing your University of Chester Masters? Or do you feel like all the 65 days was enough preparation for you to have all the answers to all the questions?
Hmm.
Well, honestly, I think that was more than enough. There's nothing which I can think of right now which I should have think about. The only thing is when I came, I was a little naive. I was like, oh my god, different city, different people. I don't even, sound like them. How am I gonna, cope up with all the cultural shock and everything? So I could have taken a little less time, but I was okay. I was okay in a month or two. But then definitely, I would say be, as we both have definitely mentioned, be curious, always ask questions, and meaningful questions. I don't mean, you ask each and everything. That would be like, oh my god, you're disturbing the class. But you ask meaningful questions, and that's how you're being guided well by your professors as well. Then you actually shine in the class as well. And mostly, you're being noticed everywhere. What you do, where you go, what actually are your interests and everything. So don't think that, one of the documentary I was watching, and it was saying that, why it is like, so many, I'm not gonna say the failure rate or anything, but why people fail in the assignments is because they don't show up in the class. It's not the matter of attendance, that you should have 85% attendance because the government says this and this. Is because the professor will understand that you're giving your 100% the class, and you know the subject well. If I don't appear in the class for, any of the classes, and suddenly I come up with an assignment which says, everything is all right in my assignment, the professor is definitely gonna dive deep into what I've written. Okay, but even like, say for example, at the other strands, if I'm always there in the like the classes and everything, the professor already knows what I am like, what I have understood. So it becomes, I won't say that they'll give you good marks after seeing in the class, but that would also give you an edge over the other people not showing up. So I would say take education very seriously. I'm not saying that you're not taking it, but definitely if that's the goal, come. If there are other goals, I would say don't have other goals, but do have other goals. But education here would be strict, it would be intense. So make your mind like that. I'm not scaring you by any chance. I'm just giving you a reality check, which should be given, I think.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. And the commitment that you show towards your education, towards your master's, towards your learning will be reflected in the marks that you score. And I don't think that is any note of caution or anything for anybody. But I mean, that's true with everything, right? If you take 10 minutes to cook a meal, it'll be good. If you take an hour to cook a meal, probably
Mm,
be even better, depending on how good of a cook you are. So, I mean, the level of commitment that you show is absolutely important. Ken.
yeah. I'll quickly want to respond to one of the questions on the comment section. Uh, Before I come, yeah, thank you.
Mm.
Before I would make a comment on what I wish I knew before coming in, I think the success tips I would recommend to prospective and current international students is to engage with the process. To be honest, before you know, your 1 year program or your 2 year program will come to an end. The value you would end up getting from the process depends on what you put in terms of commitment and engagement. Ravina has said a lot about that, but I would just want to re-echo it that this is a system that promotes independent learning. You are encouraged to learn on your own and question this knowledge. It's a whole lot of responsibility on you. So if you must achieve your desires, I know coming to the UK is a good thing, but to be honest, your journey would make more sense if you get the value from the study you're actually here for. Engage with the process. Nobody is going to scold you for asking questions. Nobody is going to, there's no right or wrong. That was very shocking to me when I heard it first. There's no right or wrong in the system. The ability to question, to ask questions, to actually challenge these things is what will form your experience on the long run. What do I wish
Absolutely.
I knew before coming
Yeah.
here? Primarily, if I imagined I knew that getting a part-time job was this difficult. Coming into the UK,
Yeah.
getting a part-time job, I wish I had somebody that told me it was not as easy as it seems. Because coming from Africa, you've done some job professionally back home. You just imagine coming to the UK, you just land this kind of job, you just land this kind of part-time job. The jobs are available. But I think in other episodes of this international student show, we're going to dive deep into that. So I think that was one of the big shocker I had, like getting the job. And in getting that job, the university also has support for that, but we'll dive deep into it. But that's one thing I wish I knew. I wish
Oh
somebody
no.
had just told me how to brand my CV. I wish somebody had just told me how to approach recruiters. I just wish somebody had told me how to actually approach employers. Maybe that would have informed more of my experience in the area of getting a part-time job. Thank you so
Ab-
much, friends.
Absolutely. Ravina, just your response to any tips you have for prospective or current international students.
Well, I think we have spoke a lot about tips, but I would say, I mean, if you really want to see the world, come out of your comfort zone. I know a lot of people talk about bait, but it's real, it's for real, okay? And a lot of people, talk about being an international student, coming abroad. It's not at all easy, I would say. It doesn't look fancy as a Bollywood movie. Obviously, Srihari could understand what I was saying.
I think
So
everybody understands what you're saying.
yeah, so it's not gonna be like a movie, but definitely if you're a warrior, definitely I always say if you're a warrior, you're gonna save, you're gonna shine. Come with a really great mindset, that's gonna be the perfect. If you have got a positive mindset, you're gonna, get through the job market, get through everything. You're gonna approach so many people, build everything you want, build your own personal brand. I've seen people doing businesses here. I've seen a lot of people growing exceptionally well. So don't doubt yourself ever. If you think that you want to study abroad, just go for it. Don't let barriers like, how will I manage myself, it's going to be a lone journey, I won't have friends and family. There's endless things which you can think about if you don't want to do it. But you just need one single thing, a motivation to pursue what you want to do in your life. So yeah, that's going to be really a transforming decision, I would say. And don't take everybody's advices as well. Some people will be like, oh my god, they'll give you all the negatives. So day before I took my flight, I spoke to a person. He's like, oh my god, the weather is so bad, you will get demotivated, you'll miss your family like anything. I was like, oh my god, I'm just going tomorrow, come on, please don't tell me this. But then still back of my mind, I was like, God's grace, I'll be all fine. And yeah, I got my family support as well. So everybody's alone in this country, but we've been supported, we have friends here, so you won't feel alone. So just take advices as much as you can, but stay positive, stay consistent, and you'll be fine. Yeah.
No, I think that's very, very true, Ravina. I think taking advice and hearing from people more experience is definitely important. But if you listen to everybody at every time, that's definitely not going to work out well for you. And with that, a huge thank you to Ravina and Kenneth. What a way to kick off season 2, episode 1 of the International Citizen Student Show. I know we spoke about a lot of different things, from student support to fees to the rankings, the importance of it, the course content, and the importance of every single aspect of it. And I think that's the one big thing that I want everybody listening, whether you are in the middle of deciding what UK university you want to attend or trying to figure out if this is something for you. I think it's important to look at it in a holistic manner, look at all of the different reasons why you are doing it. And we really want this to be an opportunity for you to listen to voices that you otherwise will not have the opportunity to hear. And I think that's incredibly important to understand and to know that, okay, this is definitely possible. And these are the concerns. These are the things that you should certainly take a look at. And these are some of the things that you might not even thought of. And everybody thinks, oh, getting a part-time job should be very straightforward and very easy. But yes, there is a lot that goes into it as well, whether you're a barista or work in your local coffee shop or whatever, or at your local supermarket. Even they have processes and protocols, which might not be the case in all of our respective home countries. And I think that's really important to understand and to know as well. And we really hope that this is an opportunity for everybody to understand what the real lived experiences are of students. And I'm sure there'll be much, much more coming up for the rest of the season. And I think we have Trevor on board with us. And yeah. So I just wanted to thank Kenneth and Ravina for sharing their thoughts, for giving us their valuable feedback. And I know everybody probably took something. If you weren't taking notes, you probably should have. I think that's something that I always do, regardless of whether it's a podcast I'm listening to, whether it is some book that I'm reading. Always take notes, always try to understand what that point of view is. And yeah, with that, thank you so much, everybody, for giving us the opportunity to talk about what goes into choosing a UK university. And this is the first of many more episodes. We'll catch you all next time on the 17th of March. Until then, take care and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.